So here's another on-track video showing, again, Ryan Finch and me, Abrin Schmucker of TrackTune.com, back at Barber Motorsports Park. These are the fastest laps of the weekend for each of us in the same car. In this case, it's a 2008 Mugen Civic SI with very minimal prep, really just brake pads and some 245 wide Falcon RTC 660 tires. If I hit play here, we should be able to see, I think, some key differences between the two laps for each of us. As we make our way into turn one, you can see that I'm in red here, and I brake way sooner and way more than Finch does on his way into turn two. Braking again for two and then three, we're actually pretty similar, but I'm a little bit slow to get on throttle, and it cost me a bit of time on my way through turn four, and just a little bit of a difference in top speed here on its way to turn five. Interesting compared to previous laps, though. My braking here is good. I just tend to brake just a little too much, and that cost me some time and also some speed on the way out of turn six. Making my way up to turn eight, the car is accelerating similarly as you'd expect that it would, since it's the same car. But Finch's gap is widening up here. On his way into turn eight, I do some braking and a downshift before I enter turn eight, whereas he does the downshift right as he makes his turn in. And I think you see that that's a pretty substantial time penalty. On my way through the chicane here, I lift just a little bit, and that scrubs quite a bit of time relative to Finch's lap. And that speed carries all the way through into turn 12, where again, I brake and downshift before turning in, whereas he does so afterward. And the gap continues to widen up here. So making our way through 13, 14, 15, and 16 and 17, I suppose. The gap continues to widen up, and it's really at this point, it's a lost cause. The difference between our two cars in this case is 2.7 seconds. If you move from the speed versus distance trace to the time gain loss, or the delta versus distance trace, you start to see something that's pretty dramatically different. Whereas in the previous view, it looked like the lap times, although similar, although very different, a lot of things looked similarly. But here we start to see where the differences in style and approach really begin to add up quite a lot. So if you play this video, what you see is really time being gained throughout the entirety of the circuit. On my way into turn one, I'm already going slower than Finch, and the gap is widening. So this is my best lap from the weekend. And by the time we get through turn three, I'm already 0.6 of a second down. Making my way through four, he and I, we're not that different, but again, it's still adding up here, where by the time we make it to turn five, I'm basically at about 0.7 of a second behind. Unlike my previous lap, I actually gained some time on Finch here through 5 and 6, but it's short-lived. On my way out of 6 and 7, and even up toward turn 8, this is really the area that cost me the most time. Again, I said I was downshifting here on the entry into 8 before the turn in, and you can see that that cost basically an entire second, despite the exits of 8 being pretty consistent between us. So this was kind of a really expensive choice to make, and I think I was doing it really just to limit the number of things I had to do in any given point. But as we make our way through that chicane, things are pretty steady, but it's climbing here again, and we see it again climb quite a lot by me choosing to brake and downshift before the entry into 12. And then really he just kind of carries more speed throughout the rest of the course through 14, 15, 16, and 17. So kudos to Finch. This was a banging lap, and this is excellent data for me to use the next time I make my way to the circuit.